If your coneflowers are drooping and you don't know why, don't panic and don't reach for more water just yet. Drooping coneflowers are one of the most common problems gardeners face, and in most cases it's completely fixable. Today I'm breaking down the 5 most common reasons your coneflowers are wilting, and exactly how to bring them back to life. Stick around till the end, because reason number 4 surprises almost everyone. Coneflowers are known as one of the toughest, most drought-tolerant perennials you can grow. So when they start drooping, something specific is going on. Let's go through each cause one by one. Reason 1, underwatering. The most obvious cause is also the most common: not enough water. This usually happens with newly planted coneflowers, since their root systems haven't had time to establish and spread out into the surrounding soil yet. Established coneflowers are genuinely drought-tolerant, but young ones are still vulnerable and need consistent moisture during their first few weeks in the ground. If you planted recently and you're seeing droopy, limp leaves, especially in the afternoon heat, underwatering is the first thing to rule out. The fix is straightforward. Water deeply 2 to 3 times a week. For newly planted coneflowers, aiming the water at the base of the plant rather than the leaves, which helps the roots grow downward instead of staying shallow. Before watering, check the soil moisture about 2 inches down with your finger. If it feels dry at that depth, it's time to water. If it's still moist, hold off. Once your coneflowers are established, usually after their first full season, you can cut back significantly on watering frequency, since their deep root systems will handle dry spells on their own. Reason 2, overwatering and root rot. This one surprises people because it's the exact opposite problem, but it's actually far more damaging than underwatering. Coneflowers hate wet feet, meaning they don't tolerate soggy, waterlogged soil around their roots for extended periods. If your garden bed doesn't drain well, or you're watering on a fixed schedule without checking the soil first, the roots can begin to rot below the surface, and drooping is often the very first visible sign above ground, long before you'd notice anything else wrong. The fix starts with adjusting your habits. Let the soil dry out between waterings, rather than sticking to a rigid calendar. If you suspect root rot is already underway, gently dig near the base of the plant and inspect the roots. Healthy roots are firm and pale, while mushy, dark, or foul-smelling roots confirm rot. At that point, it's time to improve drainage in that spot. Working in compost or coarse sand helps, or transplant the coneflower entirely to a raised bed or a spot with naturally better draining, amended soil. Reason 3, heat stress. During peak summer afternoons, it's completely normal and expected for coneflowers to droop temporarily. This isn't a sign of a problem. It's actually the plant protecting itself, curling and drooping its leaves to reduce water loss through evaporation during the hottest, most intense part of the day. Your coneflowers look wilted at 2 or 3 p.m., but perk back up looking fresh and upright by evening or the next morning. This is just normal heat response, not a real issue you need to fix. The mistake most gardeners make here is overreacting, reaching for the hose the moment they see afternoon wilting, which can actually tip the plant into overwatering territory instead. The real fix is simply making sure the plant gets a deep, thorough watering in the early morning before the heat sets in, so it has enough reserve moisture to handle the afternoon stress naturally. Avoid watering during peak sun hours in general, since much of that water evaporates before it ever reaches the root zone where the plant can actually use it. Here's the one most people don't expect, and it's the reason I said to stick around. Aster yellows is a bacteria-like organism called a phytoplasma, spread from plant to plant by small insects called leafhoppers as they feed. Unlike watering issues, this isn't something you can fix with better care. It fundamentally changes how the plant grows. Infected coneflowers show stunted, deformed, drooping growth, along with distorted or unusually greenish flowers that never fully open or develop properly, sometimes growing small leafy shoots directly out of the flower center. If you're seeing drooping combined with strange, discolored, or malformed blooms, this is likely the cause, not a watering problem. The fix, unfortunately, isn't really a fix. There's no cure for aster yellows once a plant is infected. Infected plants need to be dug up and removed completely, then destroyed, rather than composted, since composting can allow the phytoplasma to persist and spread further through your garden. To prevent future infections, controlling leafhoppers is key. Using row covers over young plants during their most vulnerable early growth stage significantly reduces the risk. Reason 5. Poor sun exposure. Coneflowers need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily to grow the way they're meant to. Strong, upright, and covered in blooms. When they're planted in too much shade, whether from nearby trees, structures, or overcrowding from other plants, their stems grow weak, thin, and leggy as they stretch and reach toward available light. Those weakened stems simply can't support the weight of the flower heads once they form, so the plant droops from structural weakness rather than any issue with water or disease. This is an easy one to misdiagnose, because at first glance it looks identical to underwatering, but no amount of extra watering will fix a lack of sunlight. The real fix is addressing the light situation directly. If your coneflowers are planted in a shadier spot, the best solution is transplanting them in early fall, when the weather is cooler and the plant experiences less transplant shock, to a location that gets full, direct sun for most of the day. Once relocated to proper sun exposure, you'll typically see noticeably stronger, more upright stems within a single growing season. So let's recap everything fast, because knowing the order to check these in makes all the difference. First, underwatering. Most common in newly planted coneflowers, still establishing their root systems, fixed with deep, consistent watering at the base. Second, overwatering and root rot. The opposite problem, caused by soggy soil or rigid watering schedules, fixed by letting soil dry out and improving drainage. Third, heat stress. Completely normal afternoon drooping that resolves on its own by evening, requiring no intervention beyond a good morning watering. Fourth, aster yellow's disease, the surprising one, spread by leafhoppers, causing stunted growth and deformed flowers, with no cure other than removing and destroying infected plants. And fifth, poor sun exposure, weak, leggy stems from too little light, fixed by transplanting to a full sun spot in early fall. 4 out of these 5 reasons are simple. Low-effort fixes you can start today. Only aster yellows requires the harder decision of removing the plant entirely, and catching it early protects the rest of your garden from spreading infection. So if your coneflowers are drooping right now, don't just guess. Check these 5 things in the right order. Start with watering, since that's the most common and easiest to diagnose. Then check for signs of overwatering and root rot if the soil feels consistently wet. Rule out simple afternoon heat stress before assuming anything is actually wrong. Then look closely at the flowers themselves for any distortion or discoloration that might point to aster yellows. And finally, consider whether your coneflowers are actually getting enough direct sunlight throughout the day. Working through these in order will get you to the real cause faster, without wasting time or accidentally making the problem worse with the wrong fix. I'd love to know which one turned out to be the culprit for you. Drop a comment below and let me know. It genuinely helps other gardeners troubleshooting the exact same issue. If you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe for more low-effort, high-reward gardening tips like this one, and I'll see you in the next video.